Hi, my name's Tom. Welcome to part 4 of my Wood Elf vlog. Again, probably doesn't matter if you've watched the other ones, but give them a watch, they're cool. And it makes sense. So this is a bit of a bigger video. I hope you stick around. I'm going through, I did a bit thread. I'm not going to repeat myself because we'll get into this. But I did a bit thread and I got a bunch of stuff. And it's cool. It's some nice expansions for the army that I hadn't totally planned on. So it was exciting. All right, enjoy. All right, an exciting one to kick off this video. I did a bit of a swap with someone on Instagram, Tom, who's Ghosty's Neon Rust. They do some really cool kit bashes, and they reached out to me when I'd been posting about my Wood Elves, saying that they had some Wood Elves in a box. And would I be interested? And I was like, yes, I would be interested, please. So they're in here. There's some really cool bits, some bits I'm excited to get on with, and some bits I'm not 100% what I'm going to do with. But yeah, let's open these up and have a proper look at them. All right, so it's a bit of a bumper box, to be honest. It's really cool. It totally covers me for like all the units I'm gonna want for this army, which means I'm now free to hunt for like juicy bits and characters and do some fun stuff, which is really cool. So I really appreciate that. Big ups to Tom, not me. The other Tom. I do like self-congratulating myself a lot. But yeah, in this case, Tom has hooked me up with some really cool bits. So yeah, let's have a little bit of a look through. So over here we've got some of the monopose plastics in a very classic 90s look. 90s, 80s, 90s, I think. But yeah, they're looking really cool. To be honest, I'm probably okay for these guys. I have 20 ish, 19, 21 in my big block, and I don't really want more, but I do maybe need some other command options so I can run 2 smaller units rather than the 1 big unit. So I'm going to give these a bit of a strip and have a look at maybe kit batching another banner bearer to match this one that I did, and maybe some champions and musicians in that style, because they're quite cool, and it'd be nice to carry that over. Where to go next? Oh my god. So these are scouts, and these are so cool. These are some proper old school quintessential metal Wood Elves. They've got the style, the hair. They're really cool. And these are some of the more I don't know what, elite units in the 4th edition Wood Elf Codex, along with Weirwatchers. So having a unit of each of these is super cool, and to be honest isn't what I had expected. I thought there would be cool additions, but I never especially planned to get any. And these are so sick. I love all the extra details on these Weirwatchers, and they all have these beautiful woodland cloaks. So I'm going to have to think about something a bit different for how my scheme is looking, I think. Like, it'll be fine with all the oranges and maybe purple claws, orange cloaks, get a few swords bent back into shape. But yeah, they'll be looking sick. There's a few repairs here and there, but I don't mind that. It's a nice opportunity to practice a little bit of sculpting and stuff. But yeah, so those 2 units are really cool. The other unit that I'm really excited about is these Glade Guard. I think this metal unit is so cool. Like, the vibe is excellent. The big chunky spears, the quite static pose. I really like. There's 9 of them here, I think I can count right. So I need to figure out a gap to make a unit of 10. But I've got a musician, there's like this, I think that is a champion model, maybe. Or maybe a banner bearer start. Easy banner bearers out of these. Looks like I'm going to have to make some fresh shields though, so I'll have to get the press mode back out. Or maybe figure something else out for these. Not 100%, but that is a unit I'm very excited to add to the army. And that'll give me 2 nice archers, glade guard, of the war dancers running around, the scouts, the way watchers. So like I said, I feel really comfortable with the amount of infantry that is on the battlefield and that is in the army for that composition. So yeah, I can start looking, I can just keep looking at cool stuff. So speaking of cool stuff, there's a few more bits here, so I'm not sure who this guy is. Just a miscellaneous marauder elf that's had a nice little green stuff rework on it at some point. He could look quite cool in a unit, robed up looking sneaky. He might just go in the glade guard to fill that gap. Or I might have a bit of a rejig and use him as some sort of character. There is 2 and a bit Skull the Falconer, who is a really cool model, like insane. I love the motion to it. There is one of his birds here. 2 of his birds? I think 2 go on there. But yeah, such a cool model. And then there's one that looks like it's been kit bashed a bit. It's been chopped up and resculpted a little bit. So just cool bits to have. Along with these, we've got a couple of chopped up war dancer bodies, and I think that's a mage on a hawk, because there is a bit of a hawk. Not a full hawk. We've got head and ass. All you need. But yeah, I don't know what I'll do with these. I have some bits that I'm working on that I'll show off later in this video that these might come in super useful for. Just as bodies in the same style. But yeah, we'll see what happens with them. Same with this, I believe it is a Glade Guard unit champion. Glade Guard are one I really don't see myself doing unless another juicy opportunity like this comes up, because a full unit of these just gets daft expensive. And trying to find horses as well. I have a horse head. That is all I have in my horse stock at the moment. Yeah, getting a full unit of them maybe seems a bit ambitious, to be honest. And I'm not super bothered. Like, that's a cool model. And the hair is crazy. Like, and he'd be fun to pen as like a character. Like, if I can get a horse, 100%, I'll make an axe to go on there. Or even if I thought about it, I could maybe magnetize my griffin. He doesn't fit on. Oh well. But yeah, if I can get him a horse or a cool mount, then he can become a character. Like, it'd be nice to have a low level like combat hero, because at the moment my only heroes and characters are mages, which is cool, but it'd be fun to have like a combat hero, and that could be him if I get a horse. So that's what I'll be on the bit of a lookout for this Sunday. I'm going to Vapen Attack in York, which is a wargaming show, and I'm hoping to find some bits there. This video will probably come out well after that. So they might even be in this video. We'll see. But that's what I'll be hunting for. Maybe some horses, some few little bits. But this has really set me up with a car. The last guy over here, somewhat offensively to leave him to the end. It's Orion's booty, and a head. It's been seen slightly better days. But yeah, this is just cool. Got his spear. I've never seen this kit in... Well, no, I've seen the kit in the flesh. But I've not played around with it. And he's big. He's a big boy. The cloak's cool. Cool horn. But yeah, not 100% where he's going to fit in. Same with Scar. Like, I might do Scar just because he's cool. Like, Scar's a really cool model. So there's a good chance I will paint him up, just as is. But generally, I'm not a massive fan of named characters in my armies. I prefer to stick to my guys, my story, this sort of thing. Named characters bring their own baggage with it, right? Like, why does my Wood Elf army have Orion, Lord of the Wood Elves? Why is he here? There's tons of reasons why it would be, but for me, I'm like, get out of here, loser. But yeah, this is really sick. Again, big ups to Tom for sending me this stuff and agreeing to a nice little trade. Hope they enjoy the bits I've sent them. And I'm excited to see what they do with them and where their project takes them next. But yeah, these are all these bits. Sweet. So this is something a little different. When I was sorting through bits to send back to Tom, Ghosty, Neon, Rusty as part of that trade, I found this Tomb King's Chariot in my bits box. I had some Tomb Kings when I was a kid, and apparently a full Chariot survived, which I'm very surprised about. But Chariots are sick. Like, I don't know how especially good they are in the game, but I think they look really cool. And for the Wood Elves, I think it's going to be something interesting. So I figured I'd use this just for a character. And I'm going to paint, I'm really torn whether to paint this detail on or whether to sculpt it on. But I want to do like a green man, like a tree guy on the front there. I think that's going to look really slick. Probably cut these little skulls off and find something a bit more appropriate. But then I've just got to find crew. Now this is going to be the slightly tricky bit. So, as written, I think a chariot is meant to have 3 crew members, which is looking pretty tight, but I have this model from ages ago. And she sort of sits nicely on the end. I've been reading, what's it called? The Hound of Culzean, which is a novel based on Irish mythology and legends, telling the story of Cuchulainn. But in that, there's a ton of, like, everyone's got a chariot. And it gives me Wood Elf vibes, and there is people like riding on the, what do you call this bit? The yoke of the chariot. I don't know if that's the right word. But yeah, I think they could look cooler, doing a little bit of summit. But some of these models that I just got in this trade with Tom might be perfect as well. Especially these chopped up war dancers. They've got quite a slim profile, and I think I should be able to fit a couple of them in the back of the chariot, and then maybe figure out a cool character to go with them. But yeah, not 100% where that's going to go. Let me know what you think, whether this would look cooler as painted detail or sculpted. I'm not 100% which would evoke more of an old world look. I think painting could look really nice. I'll pop up an image of something I have in mind. It's like a Medusa shield, like hoplite style. Those bright pop colours and high contrast. Thinking it'd look really nice with a line of checkerboarding. Like do a border of checkerboard around the bottom or up the top here, and then have that painted on like quite flat. And I think that would look nice and quite old school. but so were the sculpted deal. And I've been enjoying my sculpting, and I've been enjoying practicing my sculpting. And I did do a green man a while ago, so it'd be cool to do that again, and see what I've improved on and what I can do with it. But yeah, that's going to be a cool extra little project, especially now that trade has sorted me out with a bunch of units and stuff. Okay, so before I get into what I've done with these metals from my bits trade, I want to show off something I got at the weekend. So it was Vapid Attack York in York, a wargaming show that I go to every year, and is always sick. There's a few traders, and there's also like a tabletop sale. And wow, we were really stoked to find one of these sealed from this era. Is really cool. Obviously, the proper old hammer box would have been sick as well, but this is definitely what I remember seeing, but not understanding on shelves when I was a kid going into Games Workshop. But yeah, it's really cool. The packaging's awesome. I love this style with the mini photography in the background. It just looks awesome. So yeah, stoked to have one of these. As soon as I started the Wood Elves, I'm not sure if I've mentioned at some point, I knew a forest dragon would happen. Like, they're just awesome. The sweet curves of old dragons are very nice. But yeah, we'll get to that at some point. I have seen that these sealed ones sell for silly money, or can. So part of me is tempted to sell it and just get a regular one, but it'd be really nice to go to take that out of the box. Models meant to be built, I don't like the idea that it maybe just sits on a shelf and never gets opened, never gets painted. But I love to sell you sweet money. But yeah, so what I've been up to with these, I've done a few fixes on the Glade Guard, and then I've done some bits on the Chariots. I've got a chariot crew. I've got the chariot. The chariot's pretty much done, to be honest. I just need some horses. But it turns out it's quite hard to find the specific plastic wood elf horses. I see lots of regular elf horses, tons of empire horses, but I'd love the wood elf horses with the big manes. I'll pop a little picture somewhere, maybe, if I can be asked. But yeah, what I've done on these. So these guys at the back were all fine, didn't need anything doing. These two just needed their spear points reattaching. So they just got pinned, and then a little bit of putty that isn't the cleanest job. Like, they're a little buttered out. But I think once they're all painted up, you probably won't even be able to tell. Then the leader, so his sword hand had been chopped off, and the glove portion needed like resculpting a little bit. And then I wasn't 100% what to do for the hand, but I found this in my bits box, and it's pretty perfect. It's a little high elfy, but he's just got a little bit of something going on. I might trim the got a little gem on there. I might trim the gem off his glove just to tie it in a bit more with all the rest of the gloves. This guy needed a bit more work, so he was missing an arm. So there's this spear. So I'll post a picture of. I just put a little arm, a little bit of wire, and then sculpted did the arm, and then put the glove on top of it. And yeah, I think it's all right. I'm getting a lot more confident with doing this sort of sculpting. Like, just building an arm from fresh would have been really daunting to me a while ago. And it's still not perfect, but I'm really happy with where it's at. And again, when he's in a unit, he's going to look great. So then we needed a banner bearer. So there was this model. You might remember it from earlier. It had been so this was originally a banner bearer, but I think the banner's meant to be on this side. So Ghosty had chopped this side off, sculpted this nice little arm, little tasteful, wrapped up with the dagger, that gives him a sneaky look. But I needed a banner. I thought about using him as a champion and this guy as a banner, but that seemed like even more work or different work, I don't know. But then I thought about it, and he's sort of got that pose as if he's holding the banner close to him and he's wrapped up. So I just drilled down into here, pop this banner in, pop this rod in, a little bit relentless can. I haven't had a relentless for a long time, but these have been my bits for a while. I promise, Mum. And then nice little banner top. But yeah, he's come out really nice. And I'm really stoked with how that unit's going to look. They're pretty much ready to get burst, to be honest, but I'm sort of setting myself the goal of getting what I have, at least the infantry that I have ready painted before I get these big guys built and painted, so I don't get overloaded with just a wall of stuff to paint. Even though we're already there, so like whatever. So Chariot. It's got scythes. I wanted to pin these, to be honest, because I know they will fall off. But the area was just way too small. I could drill into the wheelbase. I could drill in here, but so these are from one of the Sylvaneth weapons, and I think they work really nicely for this. The aesthetic isn't spot on with like Age of Sigmar and Old World, but it does look nice. And I needed to build a little step for one of the crew that will show off. But yeah, the pinning, like there just was not enough room in here to comfortably drill and glue a pin that would do anything. So they're just glued on, and plastic glue's good. Like, it'll hold. And then it's going to go on like a little T-shaped jet base. So hopefully these will be a little bit more protected, because they're not just going to be hanging off the side. Like, if they were just like that, right off. But like that, they should hold up nice. Okay, so crew. So, well, let's start with these guys. So, this is my driver. Got a little crop from a high elf noble, I think. The sword from Wildwood Rangers, maybe, or Eternal Guard. One of the newer Wood Elf kits. But I think it fits in there nice. And she's why I needed to sculpt this little step. It's going to be really awkward to show you all how they look in here, so I'll post a picture now. Wow, what a great picture. So this is how they all sit together. But yeah, she's just coming on like that. And then I have this quite casual crew member. So again, I needed to sculpt another arm. This was one of the war dancers that was in that bundle of stuff I got. So again, I put out in a wire armature. And then this is the first time I've sculpted musculature in a meat, like, properly. And don't get me wrong, it looks like he has one arm that's, insert that Quagmire meme here. But I'm happy with it, and I think once it's painted, it's going to look great. I gave him a little bracelet just to hide the wrist joint, and I started sculpting a hand, but like I'm just not there yet. I'm not confident in that, so I managed to find a archer hand that just fit nicely, and he just sits on there. Doing a casual little lean, and I'm really happy with how he looks. So, last off, we've got a hero for the chariot. Now, I did think about making it so they can come off and come on, so I could run this as like a regular chariot if I wanted to, but I can still do that as a 3-man chariot, because he's going to sit on the pole, the yoke, whatever we want to call it. And I think it should glue alright, because you can see down here the spear so the trident tip is going to touch onto the plastic as well, so I should be able to get a nice enough bond. But yeah, I think he just looks so cool, speed as it speeds along, running up the pole. I can't remember if I don't think I've mentioned. Yeah, I mentioned it earlier. The books I've been reading. I think he's just going to look awesome. Coming along the pole, ready to tussle. Should get some really cool shots when he's in a game fighting it. Crashing into an enemy unit, really taking it to him. But yeah, that's what I've done with these. I'm really happy with how they're coming along. All the gaps have been filled, and the little bit of sculpting work that needed to be done on these bits to get them ready for the army is done. And yeah, awesome. This has been a bit of a bigger video than the last few. I was going to do it as 2 separate videos, but it just didn't seem seemed a bit daft. So I really hope you've enjoyed it. I am really enjoying doing these videos. It's a nice way of checking in with these projects and keeping myself going with them. And I'm really glad some people are enjoying them. If you've made it all the way through this video, thank you. If you've subscribed, thank you. If you've shared it to anyone, thank you very much. But yeah, all right. Have a nice week. See you later.